It's on Pepsi, right?
Loading in. We are now live. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? My name
Friday.
is Raechel. Happy Friday. I'm here with our fearless leader, Carley Mack. And it is cold. It is misting, but we don't care. We are going to show you our bud break. We're super excited and kind of walk through the vineyard and talk a little bit about the growing process, a little bit about each vine, and kind of just move through there. If you have any questions, just let us know, and just go ahead and get started. What are you drinking today?
You know, my go-to Pinot Noir, always.
That's a stupid question.
I know, that was a silly question. What's everybody else drinking? Because we can give you a little tourski of the vineyard, show you where the vines grow. I see Virginia on here.
Hey, Kath.
How are ya?
How you doing?
So,
it looks like kind of Instagram's floating in and out. We are also on Facebook as well, if you want to switch over or back and forth, just so you know, like, we are out here at the top of the hill, so sometimes the connection's a little spotty. So
yeah, the Wi-Fi's iffy.
If you miss something, you can swing into on Facebook. It looks like it's coming through a little bit better, but anyway.
So we figured we'd start off with something that's very simple. What is bud break? Bud break is literally the beginning of the annual growth season of our vines. When the buds start to turn green, our leaves start to show on the vines, and the magic begins to happen. Do you want to talk about a little bit what happens right before?
Yeah, so we've posted a little bit about, in the last couple weeks, the crying of the vines, or we call it crying, or a lot of places call it bleeding of the vine. So that's when, like, all the moisture and the nutrients is coming up through the vine, and the dormant vine is starting to wake up, and it's starting to seep out little water and nutrients out the pruned ends. And we posted some pictures on that earlier, and Carley was saying, kind of a fun fact, the vines can cry up to what, over a gallon?
Yeah, 1.3 gallons of liquid.
1.3 gallons of liquid.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You only see, when we're out here, you only see the little teardrops. My kids actually last week, Olivia goes, "Mom, I'm thirsty," and she started like licking all the vines, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is happening." Okay.
It's natural.
Yeah.
You know? So if you are, stranded in the middle of a vineyard in the spring and you don't have water, there you go.
Drink the vines.
Drink the
So
vines.
they're pushing out all of these sugars, all of these acids from their roots. What they do hold on to is the carbohydrates. They use the carbohydrates that they've stored in their roots, the buds, to kind of get the last push of energy to push the bud out, release those 3 leaves and the embryonic kind of fruit cluster. And then after that, photosynthesis takes over, sunshine starts to hit, and they're getting their energy from photosynthesis to continue on with the growing season.
And we're going to show you like a little examples of bud break. Each vine is kind of at different stages. Some of the white varietals, they tend to break faster and bigger earlier in the season, and then the red ones kind of catch up a little bit after that. So we'll show you a little bit from everybody, and actually we can start by showing you the Cabernet Franc over here.
Anybody drinking Cab Franc right now?
John
Hey,
Green,
Kathy Lerner.
John Green, you drinking Cab Franc, probably?
Facebook is a better feed, John Green said, if you're all wondering. If you take a look down on the ground here, you'll see our cover crops that are growing. Rach, do we know what this is right here?
We have a bunch of different things here. We have some wild peas. There's another thing called hairy vetch. We're gonna plant some crimson clover later, some brassica. Right here, actually, you can see this is some mustard kind of coming in right here, and all these cover crops kind of do different things. Some of them have really long root systems, so they help aerate the soil, help with the drainage, which is very important, especially when you have a lot of rain like we do right now. And we actually have a really great vineyard, nice slope, so when it rains, everything kind of rushes down here and the vines don't get flooded.
We do have some irrigation systems throughout these vines right here in the Sauvignon Blanc, where they've buried PVC into the ground so that
where it kind of dips down low there.
It helps drain the soil, because in most vineyards, obviously location and where you plant your vineyard is important. But that's why we never have planted down in this lower area of the field, because it's just too wet. There's not enough runoff. So pretty interesting and fun things. We'll get back to that when we talk about frost protection.
Yeah, so we talked about, Davide and I, a little bit last week about some of the frost issues we had this spring already. And you can kind of see, like, on the end of the rows, we have little rose bushes out here. And these are for a couple of reasons. They help designate, you know, what's planted where, but they also, they can show you, kind of give you a little bit of a heads up of what's happening with the vines a little bit in advance. If there's any pest issues, it usually shows up in the roses first, so then you can make sure you're managing your vines properly after that. But here you can kind of see some of these leaves are burned. I don't know if you can get it in kind of close from the frost.
We have Alexa over here being our dual photographer and camera woman.
And you can kind of see some of the burned leaves right here, and you'll see some of that a little bit on our vines, but not too bad for some of them. But we lost probably more on the Chardonnay and the Moscato, which we'll see up at the top of the hill. But over here we have the Cabernet Franc.
So we're going to start, and some of this is still in bud swell.
Yeah.
Rach, talk to us about bud swell versus bud break.
So actually we kind of have an example of both here on the same vine, if you want to get a little bit closer. So this one, the bud's more swelling, hasn't quite broken through quite yet. So this is, after it's crying, it's moving all the nutrients to the buds, and they're starting to swell a little bit more. And then over here you see, if you scoot onto the side, here is where the leaves are actually starting to form, and the bud is actually breaking through. So
perfect. And
this is Cabernet Franc, so she's just starting to come in. And here's one of our older vines here. Look how beautiful she is. And again, some swelling buds on here, some breaking buds on here.
So as we're looking at these, try to get in here. This is more like a nice bud swell where the leaves are not quite poking out. Now the bud swell versus the bud break, the biggest thing in that is the danger with frost. With bud swell, they're still a little bit protected. Now these buds are on here throughout the season. In the winter, they're dormant and they are covered by kind of like a harder shell scale. And as the crying or the bleeding occurs, the liquids push through the vines, make them cry, but they also have the buds swell and they begin to break through, and that's when the bud break happens. But as soon as bud break occurs, vintners and everybody in the industry gets super excited, but it's also a little terrifying because you're immediately susceptible to frost. And frost is our biggest enemy in the vineyard at the very beginning. And Rach, do you want to talk a little bit about frost and what it can potentially do?
Yeah, for frost, so basically if the frost comes too early, I mean, the buds will freeze, you're going to lose everything, you're actually not going to have grapes that year, your harvest is toast. And there's a few different things you can protect that from. You can do a little weather dance and just pray to the weather gods that, you know, it's not going to happen. But we also, and what we've done here in the past is you can go through and spray the vines. And basically what we do is we spray them with like a little water solution. What it does is it coats the buds and it forms like a little protective barrier, so that helps to protect it from the frost. But in California, and actually I've seen a few places around here, down in Maryland, we saw a winery. They have giant, basically fans, some wind systems to help move the air through, help keep the frost away, and bonfires that they do a lot in Italy. I know a few years ago, what was that, like 2 years ago, they had a bad frost in Italy, and they were just bonfiring it up and trying to keep the vines warm. So basically,
back in the day,
Yeah.
they used to burn tires because they would burn like hot and long. Obviously, that's terrible for the environment, and they've stopped doing that. However, that's one of the biggest things they used to do in Europe to keep those fires steady. A Walk in the Clouds. You'll see those. Isn't it A Walk in the Clouds with what's his name?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, where they wear their fans and they float through the vineyard,
I don't remember that, but
fanning the heat.
I
It's
like
awesome.
what you did just now.
Like my little duck dance. We have the kids joining us here shortly.
Over here we have Sauvignon Blanc. I don't think I've really seen any action on the Sauv Blanc yet.
There's a little bit of bud swell. I was taking pictures yesterday.
Oh yeah, right here. You can kind of get in. See the little tiny baby bud swell in here. Not quite breaking through yet, but I'll get around to it too.
We walk up to, what was it, 51.
51, we got some Cab Sav. So here in our vineyard in Chad's Ford, we grow Viognier, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Carmine, a little bit of Carmine, Merlot, a little bit of Traminette, 2 different Moscatos, Moscato Canelli, Moscato d'Amburgo, Sauvignon Blanc. We grow the Uva Italia, some just Italian table grapes.
Table grapes.
For snacking, and Chardonnay. But I don't know if I said that already, but quite a few little different things here.
Chardonnay, many of you who are tuned in right now know, but Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc are our oldest vines in the vineyard right now. The Sauvignon Blanc they're some of the youngest, I would say.
They're some of the youngest. They're about 7 years old now.
Yeah. And I guess Moscato d'Amburgo.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're younger too. The Chardonnay, some of our oldest vines in the vineyard. You'll see these big fatty trunks, and actually if you were tuned in earlier, you saw I was at the winery earlier with Davide finalizing our blend for our 2019 vintage of Chardonnay, and it is banging. It is so good. We did a tank tasting, and
Some old vine.
the texture
Zoom in on some of this.
on the new
Big guys.
vintage of Chardonnay is incredible. It has this really beautiful acidity, and then this nice round supple body. I'm super excited for y'all to try it this summer. It's going to be a gorgeous wine.
So just a quick note, since we're in the vineyard, we interplant the vineyard. So you'll see here, this little box, this little plastic box. This is a new baby vine being protected, planted last season. It will not produce any fruit for probably up to 3 years. Even if it does, we won't make wine out of it. And then we've got her right next to this guy who, how old do you think this is, Rach?
Like 40,
Probably like 40, 50.
40 some odd years old.
Yeah, a little over 40 years old, approaching 50, a lot of them. But you'll see that we have them interplanted. We will harvest them separately. So we'll harvest the young fruit, we will harvest the aged fruit, and it will have a separation. And a lot of people ask, you know, what has to do with like our reserves, what goes into the reserves. That's one of the criteria: new fruit, young fruit, and old fruit. All right, back to the bud break.
Here's some over here, Lex.
Hi, baby.
Come here. Nice. Oh, we got Charlie coming up over here. He is also a vineyard expert. Hey, honey. There's a nice little bud breaking through right there on the Chardonnay. And we have a pretty big block of Chardonnay. If you look up here, like everything all the way to the back, that is all Chardonnay. Oh, look, here's some more leaves over here. This is so exciting. You know, the vineyard is such a crazy transformation. I mean, it looks really naked right now, but before you know it, these vines will be crawling all the way up over here, and it'll be all about canopy management, just trying to keep it a little more in line because it's going to start going wild.
So when we were talking about the frost, these guys right here are like the first 3 leaves that push through. Within here is the, what is it, the embryonic fruit cluster. And it's basically what is going to be the grapes that grow. Now, if the frost hits this and zaps it, it will ruin that particular bud, and the vine won't fruit for the season. So when we lose buds due to frost, you lose an entire vintage of wine. So say we had a deep frost, we lost all these buds, we wouldn't be able to make wine next season, and we'd be totally screwed until 2021.
And actually, Lex, if you get right here, here's an example of a bud that got burned off from the frost. We lost about 3 to 4% of our Chardonnay buds from the frost last week. So we do have plenty of good ones still left, but that one did get fried. And we got the kiddos here with us. Just moving through.
If anybody misses Sophia, she's hanging out with us today. Sophia lives right there, which is really convenient.
Her commute's crazy.
Yeah. The walk to work is very rough.
It's rough.
Olivia's been hanging out today. Everybody's been wearing their masks.
So let's go up. Oh, honey.
She just ate it.
Careful. So let's go up and she'll show you the Moscato, which is pretty exciting. We'll probably dip into some Merlot too.
Is anybody dipping into Merlot during happy hour right now?
Getting Merlot.
Pouring some Merlot. Let's see. I watched that movie last week. Walk in the
Clouds. Can't wait for the Chardonnay.
Same.
It's
Hi,
like I
Soph.
said, it's gonna be,
Casey says hi, Soph.
Merlot.
Here's some really good ones here.
Right over here. Oh yeah, right here.
This is one of my babies.
Look at that.
So here you can really see a little bit more with these leaves coming out. And we are going to go through all the different stages of the growth cycle, the annual growth cycle of the grapes with you on live Instagram and Facebook. We talked about the bud swell. We talked about the bud break, the crying. After that happens, like there's flowering, and then there's the fruit set, which is the growth of the fruit. And then there's Irrigation, which is always my favorite because it's like a tie-dye vineyard. All the clusters.
Big hippie.
Yeah, I know, right? The clusters begin to transform from green grapes to red grapes, if they are red grapes, of course. So you'll see the Merlot is multicolor, the Cab Franc, the Carmine. It's so cool. And then obviously we have harvest. So we're gonna try to get out here during every step of the way and talk you guys through it. So I hope you all tune in.
So you can kind of grow with us this 2020 vintage. It's going to be so great.
I'm with you, Carley, drinking your Pinot Noir. Yeah, Kev. Cheers. We're going to look like drowned rats by the end of this.
I know. Oh, look, we don't even have to mow. Charlie's eating the grass.
Good job, Bear.
So we have 7 rows of Moscato. So all this over here is our Moscato Cannelli. And actually right now we are at the top of the vineyards. This is the top of the hill. The most ideal site. So this is why our Chardonnay is outstanding. Our Moscato Cannelli is fabulous. That has the perfect drainage here. Nice and rocky right here at the top of the hill. The most amount of sun, great airflow, drying those grapes and keeping them from getting any mold issues. So right here is the sweet spot of our vineyard, and the view is incredible. And the vines do so well up here.
Look at those little babies running through the vines. Little wine babies.
Right.
You can see here, we've got so this is a vine that will not be harvested from. Bud break and swell is occurring at the same time here. We've got the bud break. Zoom in on that, Lex. And then we've got the swell down here. This vine is too young to harvest from. So another year, he'll be good to go. She'll be good to go. But then we have this guy right next to him. And you can see all of those beautiful, oh God, they're so pretty.
It's really an exciting time of year. Like one of my favorite times is bud break. It just gets you so excited for another cycle, another season, and then like Carly said, verasion's really fun, and then harvest just makes me want to dance.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get to see like the fruit of the labor from the entire season. But this is pretty cool too, and honestly, like especially with all the crap we've all been going through lately, to see new life, new growth, get excited for a new season. This summer is going to be wonderful, and it's just, I don't know, it's all part of that wonderful feeling that is really important.
It kind of brings you back, like at the end of the day, although wine is so beautiful, so delicate, at the end of the day we're farmers. So Mother Nature rules everything that we do. And like we said with the frost, if she takes the buds, you're done for the season. You can have varietals are done or full vintages that are shot. But looking at this, it's so exciting. All that we do begins here, and every day it changes. And it's so much fun because like I was in here yesterday and the Cabernet Sauvignon was at this level right here, and now it's double in size in 24 hours just because it, you know, had that time. God, after a sunny day in here, it's gorgeous.
So it's pretty much, you know, like what we wanted to show you guys, some of the bud swelling, show off some of our brand new buds breaking. Carly, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, we talked about, you know, all the different stages of our growing season, a little bit about our frost. Raechel touched on, you know, the only frost prevention that we practice at this vineyard is the spraying of the water. Davide will go down with a huge container of water and spray at like midnight to 1 a.m. And cover the ice, cover the buds, you know, with the layer of water so that it freezes and is protected.
Yeah, and yeah, that's just part of our cycle, a little bit what we're doing. We are super excited. I showed you, I don't know, was it yesterday or the day before? The days all run together. Every day I wake up and I have to remind myself what day it is. This quarantine's kind of out of control.
Every day is Friday, guys.
So we are planting 10,000 new vines at our Sandy Hill Vineyard. We planted about 1,000 yesterday, and then of course it started raining today. We have a little more rain in the forecast, but we are hoping to get some live vine planting action early next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, depending on the weather. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing that, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
Planting live on Instagram
Woo!
and Facebook.
And then we'll, as things change in the vineyard, we might go live just intermittently and just show you what's up and how things are progressing in the vineyard. But
and then next Friday actually is really exciting. We are partnering with Good Chocolate. She is a fabulous chocolatier out of Philadelphia, and we're gonna go live with her next Friday at 5 and just kind of pick her brain about her process. Beautiful chocolates, all fresh ingredients, and kind of talk about wine pairing, and her, you know, a little bit about why she does what she does. And we partnered with her because we're actually putting together a special Mother's Day package
yes,
deal.
So Mother's Day, we know that people can't necessarily get out and about to go shopping for their moms, but moms are very important, especially right now during quarantine. They're the people keeping those kids alive, and wine is helping. You can send any mom or any special human in your life that you want to cheer up. We're partnering with a few local people. Good Chocolates, Spiral. Is it Spiral Chocolates?
Double Spiral.
Double Spiral Chocolates, and Studio Flora. You can order chocolates, flowers, wine, a combination of the three, anything you want, and we will deliver it locally within a 15-mile radius of the winery. $100 minimum spend. Minimum. And yeah, you can also pick up and deliver yourself. We can't ship the flowers or the chocolates. Just as a heads up, happy to ship wine.
So yeah, that's the first 2 weekends in May. Super excited to partner with some other local businesses, and then like I said, we'll be live again well, on Wednesday with our new Current Wine of the Week for a virtual tasting, and then next Friday with our partner at Good, which I am super, super excited about.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you guys so much for joining. Miles, do you want to say goodbye? Say bye, everybody.
Wave.
Say happy Friday.
Can you wave to them?
Maybe.
Look, say happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for coming out to the Vineyard.
wash our hands.
Again, if you have any questions, just DM us. We are always here for you. And this is Raechel signing off officially.
Thanks, guys.
And